Hi and welcome. I can't believe it. It's episode 10. We're into double digits, Pascal.
Indeed, it's just flown by. Although when I'm looking at we have a grid, everyone, a bit of behind the scene, inside the knowledge where we record all the different episodes. It's getting quite busy and quite content rich. So we'll have to do a recap very soon.
We're going to have to. We are celebrating the launch of our new program and the completion of the website best practice webinar series. We wanted to find a way to continue to share more advice and insights about making your website work harder and for you to feel proud about your website again. Each episode consists of 4 segments. We have You Ask, We Answer. We've got website stories, website engine room, where we come up with a couple of apps or tech that might help you as a website manager or content creator. And of course, lastly but not least, the website call to action. One change or adjustment that you should be making to your website right now. As I said, it's episode 10 of the 90-day website mastery podcast. We're live on LinkedIn, we're live on YouTube, we're live on Facebook, or perhaps you're with us on the podcast in your ear right now. We're so glad you're here. Thanks for being here. So whether you're watching or listening, welcome to the show, and welcome to Pascal, who's in the heat of France, whilst I'm in the freezing cold of the UK.
We were having this conversation in the green room that's just extraordinary, the difference. I mean, I'm literally like double the temperature that you're having locally. So I was planning a return to the UK, but I'm going to wait a bit longer, I think.
Yeah, I think I would as well.
So thanks again, everyone, for joining us live on replay. This is really something I look forward to now, to catch up with you and our viewers and listeners, to just reflect on this business of running a website, but doing it in such a way that it is a source of satisfaction. And very recently, I was instrumental in a rescue project, which you'll be very familiar with, Jonny, where a website project has not gone so well, so you've got to pick it up halfway through, change developers, and then take it to where it should be. And I presented this yesterday, and the delight in people's faces via the Zoom call. I should have taken a picture before and after where they appeared, they were thinking, oh, here we go, the website again. And then when I finished giving them the tour of what we've achieved, the smiles were just absolutely wonderful. So I think it is about that. It is about a website working harder for you, but you, the owner manager, you need to feel good about it too.
For sure. Should we get started with our first segment? You ask, we answer.
So this is all about one question that either have had submitted to us during a project that we researched online. Very recently, I was working with an organization that I had a website for quite some time, but they were moving into a different market. Following a bit of a strategic session, we decided that a separate website was wise, and I brought up the idea of creating avatars, or personas as I call them. And the perplexed looks on their faces told me everything. So the question from the customer was, what are avatars or archetypes, and how can they help me run my website, or are they a waste of time, was the implicit kind of question. So I suppose I'm going to turn to you, Jonny. Do you have a plain English way to describe avatars, archetype, personas to your customers? And do they need convincing that this is worth their while?
Yeah, I guess it's about really understanding your audience, dare I say, because without understanding your audience, you fail to use their language and you fail to make it relevant. And actually, it's about even taking it a step further now. It's not just understanding the audience, but it's understanding what they want, what they're out, the outcome. What's the outcome? What do they actually want to achieve as well? But the key thing is, by doing an exercise of understanding the different types of audiences, because some businesses might have 10, 12, 15 different personas, that's fine, but it's about defining them so that you can at least say, well, actually, these are the sort of top 2 or 3. And this is the type of words or language that they use. So, for example, if you're trying to sell products or services to a manufacturing industry, then you need to be talking about process optimization or efficiency. Whereas, if you're trying to sell it to consumers, it's very different language. So it's really about the exercise helps you understand the language to create that relevancy.
I like that because very often you and I remind our customers and trainees the perfect scenario would be that your own customers build your future website because they are more likely to match the language, the preference in terms of photography, colors, and more. For me, the persona archetypes, it's a document that helps you record something that would be too difficult to memorize because actually, to your point, Johnny, the language and everything else that you look into is not something that you yourself use on a regular basis, so you're likely to forget. So what I like to do is make them very visual, which I know you do. And in fact, I would encourage our viewers and listeners to seek out webinar number 2 of our launch series, because in there we look at our 4 kind of website visitor type, and we recommend how to go about it. But this idea of capturing information that you don't normally consider, the language, but also what are they concerned about? What might they prefer the competition? All those nuances are captured into this document that can be shared in the office. What I like as well, to your point, is it helps you also prioritize. So you may end up with, to begin with, a list of 10 or 12. And then someone like you and I would say that's too many archetype. We need to take it down to maybe 3 or 4. And then you can prioritize and target, your marketing accordingly.
Absolutely. It's really important to understand who it is you're talking to.
Absolutely. And it informs your SEO. I mean, we could go as far as your content marketing plan, your social media, and so on. So this is why we would insist, to do this exercise with you, should you have the pleasure of working, Jonny and I. And how can they help you run your website more effectively? It's back to that. You're going to make faster decisions and better decisions moving forward. Talking of moving forward, by the way, should we move on to our next segment, website stories? Now, this is about the one article, the one podcast, the one video infographics that can help us really review and react to what it means to be a website manager in today's economy. And we've chosen something actually quite different to previous episodes. We've gone for a LinkedIn video message shared by one of my kind of SEO content marketing heroes, Wrench Fishkin, who's going to tell us about what the future looks like when we are now faced with an audience who will be supported by AI-powered search. And we're very lucky to have been able to get the video message that we're going to play for you now.
What I think is the future of a lot of SEO, and that is keyword co-occurrence, making sure that your brand shows up in and around the words and phrases that large language models get trained on, because large language models produce tokens like this that are likely to appear after other tokens. And so if I go to Bing and I search for what are the best hotel deals online, there's obviously advertisers and they'll give me results, right, of actual places, but they also give me answers like this: websites that offer good deals, Kayak, Expedia, Booking, Trivago, Cheap Air. Okay. And if I go to Google, right, it will show me, gosh, a very similar subset, because these are the brands that have built language co-occurrence, that they're the tokens that are likely to show up. I think Google has actually been using this for a long time. I think back in my Moz days, I did an old Whiteboard Friday about how Google was probably using this. But if I go to ChatGPT and I say, what are the best hotel websites online, or best travel deal websites, right? And what is it going to give me? What are these? These aren't answers. This isn't knowledge. These are predictions of tokens that are most likely to appear near other tokens around the same thing. And in fact, gosh, these sure look like the same results that you get in Google and in Bing. And my suspicion is long term, this is going to be a ton of what marketers need to do, is associate their brand with topics and concepts all across the web, so that the large language models pick them up, so search results include them.
Wow. It's always a pleasure to see Wrench Fishkin. And what an art. This is not my forte, as you know, to do short form content. People will know that. In 1 minute, 50 seconds to capture all of that, to have a visual stimuli. So we'll put the link in the show notes for everyone to catch the LinkedIn post, Jonny, because there's all the comments and reaction from the followers as well. But this idea of a fair guess at what markets will be doing on a regular basis from now on because of the element of AI-powered search results. Yeah, what did you make of that?
Yeah, it's a reminder that this is all about context as well. And so if you're talking about a particular topic or a particular subject, what you want to ensure is that by simply doing a Google search on that topic or subject, finding out the top 10 pages that rank for that, having a look at what else they also talk about, and making sure that you also talk about those things. So, for example, an estate agent, you might find that the top 10 pages of Google also talk about mortgages and insurance. So you need to make sure that if you're creating an estate agent page, that you're also talking about mortgages and insurance, so that you are helping the AI, the model, understand that you are relevant because you're talking about all these other topics that are related to the content. So for me, it's a really important reminder that if you want to rank well for a particular subject, you've got to rank well for the things around that subject as well.
Yeah, you're right. It to me, and in fairness to Rand, I think he's being very sympathetic with the complexity of the role of marketing, because I wouldn't say this is new to you and I, but we've been involved in SEO from pretty much the early years. But this idea of, it may have been from him as well, or from other researchers, where you would see content whereby the brand name would be surrounded by the right keywords, so the proximity of the word back to occurrence. For me, it's also the logic of, if you have a brand name, a brand company, it could be yours, by the way, as an individual, what is the qualifying strapline that normally goes alongside that? And to your point, no matter if you have product A, B, and C, and D, are you sure that your brand name is associated with those, or maybe just product A, and that B, C, D, and E are being neglected from that kind of the presence of the right words around who you are? For me as well, what would be an important exercise, and I don't remember the name of the app can help you do that. It's those cloud keywords that you can sometimes do. So you can put a hyperlink of a web page on this app, and that could be maybe what I recommend for next time round. And it can give you a summary of what this page is about, and you can see whether there are any gaps between what you wish people will know you for, and by extension, the search engine, because he was absolutely right to say this is not knowledge. This is just repeating what the search engine has been able to glean from your web pages and more. Are you sure that there is a close match there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could. There are some great tools like that, and having not used one for a little while, I can't remember the names. But for example, you could use something even like SEMrush to put in a topic and then sort of 5 competitors, and it'll start producing keyword gap analysis. So in terms of the sort of topics that the other 5 are talking about that are related that you've not talked about, and sort of come up with a content strategy from that. So yeah, this is it's a really good reminder.
Now, and I would recommend people to follow the link, watch the video again, say hello to Rand Fishkin from on our behalf, but read the comments, because the conversation is going there is perfect. They'll say, well, this is great because this is back to good old-fashioned, in a good way, online PR. This is helping me put a point across to my colleagues who may not be working in marketing and SEO. And this is for you and I also, a link to some of the recommendation we've made around testing, the search result, by looking at the bottom of the page with people also search for, or people also asked for, and start to build this bank of knowledge and understanding about the behavior of your website visitors, and populate that into your personas or archetypes, that document that you've crafted. So yeah, thanks very much for your action, and I thought it was lovely to hear it said so simply and so superbly, as is often the case with Rand Fishkin. But on the subject of taking action and making changes to your website, let's move on to the website engine room. Now, this is a segment that I always look forward to, because Jonny will surprise me every single time with his recommendation of an app, a software solution, something that can help us make life easier as a website content creator and website owner. So what is your recommendation for this episode, Jonny?
So and likewise, I like get surprised with yours as well. I want to in a future episode, I'm going to be talking about internal links and how important they are, and it so much so that I thought, well, why don't I talk about a tool that helps this? So there's a tool called Link Whisperer. Link Whisper, linkwhisper.com, linkwhisper.com. It's an internal linking tool to speed up the process of internal linking for search engine optimization and ultimately to help you rank better. And the idea being is that with this tool that's a WordPress plugin, you can use it on Shopify as well. It integrates with Yoast, it integrates with Rank Math, which are the two leading search engine optimization plugins. And it just makes it abundantly easy to create internal links. So if you're writing a blog post or a new service page, as you're writing, it identifies link opportunities. So, perhaps you write a phrase or a word or a question, and it highlights that question and says, well, actually, you've got an old blog on that. You could link to it right now. And so it's constantly identifying opportunities, but also there's an automated option where you can just flick a switch and it'll find opportunities across the entire website to link to what we call your pillar page content. So the key phrases or key keywords that you're trying to rank high in Google, perhaps the sort of 10, 20, 30 pillar pages across the website. The internal links help Google understand the importance of those pages. So for me, this week, it's linkwhisperer.com, and it's all about internal linking.
Wow. Well, just because I was reminding you and I that we've been involved in SEO for quite some time, I believe for me, it's 20 years. I think I did SEO in 2003, and then very quickly moved on to training. Remind us again about the value of internal linking and what they can do to your website ranking.
Well, yeah, like I was saying, this is about helping Google understand what is important on your website. So if you imagine a website with I don't know 20, whether it be 20 pages or 20,000 pages, you need to somehow make it clear to Google the sort of key services or key products that you are important for. And one of the ways of doing that is by using your content to talk about these things, but more so to link to the relevant pages that are the main pages that rank for some of these terms, or that you want to rank for some of these terms. So internal linking is a way to shape Google to understand which pages to rank and for what keywords to rank for. So we used anchor text. So when you're creating an internal link from a blog page to service page A, the phrase that you use to then link is called the anchor text. And depending on what phrase you use, helps teach Google what that page is about. So it's so important, internal linking. And interestingly, it's often forgotten about in so many websites because the focus isn't on that. The focus is on the look, the feel, how it works, the words. And very often, the internal links are very much forgotten about. But it's where the biggest opportunity is to shape Google's thoughts about what pages should rank, but also the importance of those pages.
And then the parallel you can run, because I agree with you, I think it's to do with language sometimes. And for many of my customers, by the time they finish the article, they want to move on to the next thing. And internal linking, which is often positioned within the body of the copy or at the bottom, I think is very nice. You may also find this interesting, put the links there. But for me, the way I describe it is like you're guiding a conversation, which I know is odd because it's all written copy for now, but this idea of what is the next natural evolution of the information piece, and you could actually be inspired by the search engine themselves. Just spoke a moment ago about people also search for, presented by Bing and Google. So you could actually guide people through a natural conversation, different stages of the website, but tactically. You're right. If you have a high-performing web page, then you've got to be using internal links to almost concur with, the conclusion of your visitors and the search engines. Superb. Thank you very much. I know exactly who's going to need that after this recording. In touch with my customers, Jonny, but all credits will be given to you, of course. So for this iteration of the website engine room, I want to continue with what we talked about in You Asked, We Answer, by the customer avatar archetypes persona template. So it's twofold. If I may encourage people to visit episode 2 of our webinar series, where we talk about the 4 types of website visitors. We talk about the personas and the archetypes. So you learned about how Jonny and I would like to structure your thinking and the ideas behind one individual representing a much wider group. And then to make your life a little easier, I would encourage you to visit this page on HubSpot, kind of online marketing platform. They've taken the trouble, put together some great templates on PowerPoint and Microsoft Word, where you have blank boxes to fill in and so on. They haven't got all of the things that you and I would want as part of the profile, Jonny, but it's a good way to get started. And then you can add all the elements that you'll hear Jonny and I say in that webinar series. So watch the webinar if you don't mind. Download the template from HubSpot and then populate it, circulate to run the office, and it's there for you to review. And my argument would be, Jonny, that one should always have a quick scan read of the avatars or the archetypes before starting any meaningful website work.
Yeah, it's definitely a really good starting point. So if you simply Google customer profile templates HubSpot, or even HubSpot customer profile templates, you'll get to their page. We'll put the link in the show notes as well. It's a great starting point to come up with customer avatars. So really good.
Thank you very much. Well, whilst we're in the business of giving people things to do, let's move on with our final segment, the website call to action. So, Jonny, what is the one change or adjustment you'd like us to concentrate on for this next period?
I'd like you to go to your websites and check your legals. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean checking your T&Cs, your cookie policy, your privacy policy. You might be thinking, oh, I don't really want to do that. And do we really need to? There's many reasons. I guess one of the key reasons, one thing to consider is data is so crucial to marketing, and how can we use that data to then market to different users, different people? And if you haven't got the right privacy policy in place, the right GDPR in place, then you may find that it's quite limiting in terms of the marketing activity that you can do. Whereas if you have things in there that make it abundantly clear that you're going to market to these people, but there's also a very easy way to be withdrawn from that marketing, then that really opens the door on the amount of marketing you can do. And then the second key reason for me is if you're running pay-per-click campaigns. So Google is becoming a lot stricter in terms of the wording of your policies and the wording of your cookie policy, the wording of your terms and conditions, and the wording of your GDPR. Google is trying to look whiter than white, and the way it's doing that is by penalizing accounts that don't have the correct terms and conditions in place. And in fact, I've had a number of Google ad pay-per-click campaigns where Google has threatened to pause the campaigns if the policies aren't put in place. And further to that, there's something called enhanced conversion tracking that you can do on Google Ads. But without some of these policies in place, you can't get to that functionality. So it is literally limiting by not having the correct policies in place. So yes, it's a whole sort of, it's not the glamorous side of a website. It's the boring side. It's the T&Cs, but actually it is really important. And the question is, when did you even last look at them? And let's get them up to date and make sure they're actually serving a purpose instead of just being a sticker that was there at the beginning when you first built the website.
Thank you very much. And for my part, having quite a bit of foray into international trading, international marketing, also look at different territories, even if it's just an additional paragraph, depending of where your customers come from, that might just make all the difference. Because there will be visitors, I can guarantee you, that will look at them, understand more about what you stand for. And this is also, maybe that's what you asking us to reflect on as well, Jonny, a chance to maybe rewrite them to be more in line with your tone of voice. They don't have to
Oh
be.
yeah, for
We
sure.
all begin with the copy and paste version from an authority, ideally someone that knows the legal side of being online. But eventually 6, 12, 24 months later, maybe it's time for you to go back and rewrite it so that it sounds like you.
I love that. I love that. Why not use tone of voice? Let's, people buy from brands that actually have personality and, stand out by having TNCs that have got some personality.
The best example I saw was someone that did it as a flip book. It was a cartoon, and you read the cookie policy as a kind of flip book. It was just absolutely genius. For my part, talking about taking action, I'm going to ask people to do a little less, because of the time of year. Excuse me. So to begin with, I'm going to continue with the tone of voice and work on your out of office messages and just make them part of your marketing and explain to people that you're taking time out, that it is important to you, that of course you understand their despair, they won't be able to get in touch with you promptly. So in the meantime, what can they do? And then you can point them to your most amazing content on your website. So it's almost like doing two things, saying that, you've logged off for a while, that you'll be back in touch with them, but in your own kind of style, and point people to, part of your website where they can still get information. The things I've seen people do as well, I'm going to give a shout out to two friends, Simon Raybould and Simon Clayton. They've also written short articles about what people should focus on, almost like being people like, the homework used to get when in between school holidays. My parents used to be quite keen on that. I used to absolutely detest it. But this idea of, whilst we all kind of slow down a bit, here's a couple of things you may want to be looking into until we catch up again in September. So yeah, just make it work for you, but also see if you're going to be slowing down, can you still add value in your messaging?
And I've seen some great examples of out of offices where you can really stand out and make them fun or make them or even resourceful, really resourceful. I love that. Really good. What an episode again. We've talked about customer avatars, customer archetypes, and how important they are, and why you really need to home in on who your audience is. We've talked about how AI powered search, the impact of that on search engine optimization. You want to be associated with some of the big brands that Google, Bing, AI associate with certain things. You want to make sure that you're in the mix there. We've had some great tips on apps from the linkwhisper.com to the HubSpot customer profile templates and the website call to actions. Check your legals and set up a really good out of office. Pascal, reflection from you on today's episode?
I'm still amazed that we can make it fit within, the form content that we've, given ourselves to do as a challenge. But there's also some reassurance in there is nothing here that is not within everybody's reach. If you get organized and so on, and it is also use the term reminder. I find it reassuring that in 2023. Having just celebrated 30 years of internet, we're still talking about something that we know works for a fact, and it is really worth your while spending time on.
Yeah, back to basics, isn't it? In a lot of ways. That's it for today. This was episode 10 of our new podcast series, the audio companion to the 90-day website mastery program. For more information, please visit 90daymarketingmastery.com and you'll be able to book yourself a discovery call with either myself or Pascal. We'll be back for another podcast episode. In the meantime, feel free to send your questions, share your preferred apps and links to your website once you've made the changes we've spoken about. We'll happily give you a shout out. But it's bye for now for everyone, and we'll leave you with a fun video and audio montage whilst you go through your notes and actions. We'll see you soon. Take care.